Hello. Today we're going to make this super neat train wheel. The way we're going to start off is by drawing this profile. And we're going to have a construction line in the middle here, and then we're going to revolve it around that construction line. I'm going to build it with lines, and then I'm going to use a sketch fillet to make this have the right rounded radius. But this I'll put an arc at the end. Let's see. All right, let's go ahead and begin. So we shall start by opening up a new part studio. We will rename the part studio wheel. And let's start our sketch on the front plane. So now looking at our instructions here, this is pretty small, right? The width is 1/4 of an inch. The length from the center line out to the center of the circle is 1 inch. So this is like 1 inch long and 1/4 of an inch wide. So when we start in here and we start building our lines, we want to be careful about how big they are. If we just grab a line and start, oh, I want my construction line in the center. I'm gonna make a horizontal construction line. But how big do I want it? See, if I go out like this, look, it's already 1.5 inches long. I only really need it to be, 1/4 of an inch, maybe 1/2 an inch, just maybe it'll look a little bit bigger. So I want to have an idea of how big my picture is going to be. So that's going to be the width of my part. So I'm going to zoom in. Now I'm going to start to make this design. I think I'll start up here and I'll come down over and up, and then I'll put an arc on the top. But I'm going to get my my line tool, and I'm going to start vertical from the origin, and I'm going to come down over about 1/4 of an inch, up a little bit, in a little bit, up a little ways, out. That's okay to line up right there, and then line up right there, and stop with my lines, and then I'm going to put an arc on the top of this. Boom, boom, boom. And now I'm going to look at my dimensions. So from the center, all my dimensions are coming from the center line, right? So first off, I have from the center line to this first lower ridge is 0.25. So I'm going to dimension from center line to this ridge here. That is supposed to be 0.25. Next, notice it doesn't have a measurement for right here yet, and we'll get to that. But the next one we have is 0.75, and that goes up to the next little inside ridge. So 0.75 would be measuring from the center line to this little ridge here, and that is 0.75. And then it made that look weird, right? So all I have to do is just come in here and take off my dimension tool and just move this a little bit up out of the way. Then it starts to look normal again. Okay, so what else? This 1 inch measurement is from the center, or like the center of the arc, to the center line of the wheel. So from here to the center line Oh, I need my dimension. From the center of the arc to the center line is 1 inch. And it turned into a bubble. That's okay. Wait for it. The radius of this arc is 0.125. So I'm going to put that dimension on here. Radius 0.125. And then I think what I need to do is, if you look at the picture, the straight edge here goes all the way up to the same distance here. So I am going to put a horizontal constraint between the center here and the side length here. So I'm going to grab both of these, and then I'm going to put a horizontal constraint. So now it forces these to be at the same height. Then let's see what else we got. The width of this part here is 0.125. We can put that dimension on there. So from here to there, 0.125. So now the only thing that isn't defined is this part down here. We have to figure out the measurement for that. Let's look back at our picture. And where do they tell us the information about the size of this hole here, or the distance between these two? They're telling us right here it's a diameter of 0.28, this hole right here. So we can put a diameter dimension of 0.28 by looking on this line, and then the extension line, or not the extension line, but the construction line. Then jumping on the other side of it, and it was 0.28. Okay, now this thing looks all defined, right? However, we need to round off these corners. So it says right here a radius of 0.063, but actually we have to do 0.0625. This is only showing 3 digits, but if you put in 0.063, you will have it's too big of a radius, and so it'll only be able to make one of them, and one of them will just turn red and say it won't be able to be solved. I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to do my sketch fillet tool, and I am going to pick that corner and that corner and that corner and that corner. And then the measurement is 0.0625. So now we've got the rounded parts on all of this. So we can go ahead and accept that sketch. And then we are going to do a revolve. And the faces that we're going to revolve would be that. And the revolve axis is the construction line. And when we accept that, we got our, like the basic cutout of our wheel. So next, we can do these cutouts. So let's do this. So I'm going to start a sketch on the back here. And I want to make sure it's like horizontally situated. So I'm going to click on the left here to make sure that it's side to side, so that, because the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make some construction lines. I'm going to make construction lines to represent these angles right here. So I only really need to do the horizontal one, and then one 15 degrees up, and then 30 degrees up from that. Just enough to make this cutout. So construction lines, one of them needs to snap to horizontal. One of them, and then we'll make two more, and then we'll use the dimension tool to set those angles. So the angle between the first two, 15 degrees. The angle between the second two is 30 degrees. Now we'll use the arc tool to make some arcs in between these, and then fill in with the line tool, and then we can do an extrude. So I'm going to get my, I'm going to use my center point arc tool because they need to have the same center as this. So I click first to place the center, and then I'll say click from there and then there. And I'll make another one. Exit out of my arc tool. I need to get the dimensions for those arcs. So the inside arc has a radius of 0.37, and the outside arc has a radius of 0.63. I'll get my dimension tool. This one has a radius of 0.37. This one has a radius of 0.63. And then I need to use my line tool to fill in these little spots right here. I'm going to get my line tool. I go from this vertex to that one. And then from this vertex to that one. And if I exit my line tool, you can see that I can like select that little region now. That means it's ready for me to do my extrude. So I'm going to accept that sketch. I'm going to pick extrude, remove. Instead of blind, I just want it to go all the way through. The shape is this. Merged with part one, which we're going to change the name of that to wheel in just a second. So here we have that one cutout, right? I'm going to rename, instead of part one, it's going to be called wheel. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a circular pattern. So the circular pattern is shows up right here in the drop down menu. Hit circular pattern. Then remember, it starts off in a part pattern, and we want to change that to feature pattern. So the features that we want to pattern is extrude one. The axis that we want to use, we'll just use the circle here. And how many instances do we need? We need 6 of them. And then now we've got that kind of look right there. So then what is next? We need to make this little, where the linkage arm hooks on to the wheel. So I'll just make it one, I'll do a circle and an extrude, and then a circle and an extrude, and then I'll do a little circle and extruded cut to make the hole. So for the first circle, and if you look on here, there's a typo here. This one is supposed to be, look, they have the smaller one as a 1/4 inch, 0.25, and the bigger one is 0.125, but those are switched. The bigger one here is 0.25, and then this littler one is 0.125. Okay, and the distance from the center line of the wheel to the center of our circles is going to be 0.7. So here's how we're going to do that. I will select this face right here to make a sketch on. And I'm going to start off with a horizontal construction line. just to guarantee that I'm perfectly sideways or horizontal there. And then I'm going to place a circle with its center on that construction line. And here's oh, I got my construction line still. I can just push Q and it goes to regular. Here's something that's cool. When you click to place your circle the second time, you can just put in the diameter right now. I'm going to just put 0.25 and it automatically does it. So I don't have to go get my dimension tool to make the diameter of that circle. But I do need to dimension the distance from the center, which was 0.7. And then you see how it's kind of pushed out into the wheel a little bit there. So we want to extrude that now. So we're going to accept that sketch. I'm going to do an extrude. And then we want to pick, you see how it only picked that part and it like won't let me pick the other part? I don't want to extrude that circle. So how am I going to be able to pick the whole circle if it only picks that part? What I do is I go over here to the part menu down here, and I'm just going to hide the wheel so that all we can see. And now I'm able to select that region and that region. But I only want them to extrude 0.25. So now I can come over here and show the wheel again. And then I need to do, instead of new, I need to do add so that it's all part of the wheel. So it's all the same part. And now we're ready for this extrude. We're ready to accept it. All right, so now I'm going to make this smaller extrude. The circle has a diameter 0.125, and it is also extruded 0.125. So I'm just going to click on this surface, make a sketch, and I'm going to get my circle tool. And if you hover in the middle, it'll give you that little square, and that means you're concentric. See the little two circles symbol that shows up? That means you're concentric, meaning you have the same center. So click to place the circle, the diameter is 0.125. Now I can accept that sketch and extrude it 0.125. And now I'm going to select this surface, make another sketch, another circle, concentric, and that one had a diameter of 0.0625. Accept that sketch. Now I'm going to do an extrude, but with remove. That's what I want to remove. The depth is 0.25. You can see that's where, so the linkage arm would fit on right here, and then the linkage peg would go in that hole to hold the linkage arm on. And then right there, we're done with our wheel. It's a beautiful wheel, and we love it.